ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we're doing a laptop review. Something that you guys love when I do, and I love doing them for you as well. We're going to be checking out this guy right here. It's the Acer Predator 17. And this model features a GTX1070. The model number is G9-793-76KV. So this is the updated model. Obviously you can tell by the rear exhaust vents, which have changed on this one. There is another model which is pretty much identical with the same specs and everything, but the vent at the back is changed, and there's a few other small differences which we'll talk about in this video. But let's jump right into it then with the exterior. Now it is a bit dusty because this was a display model or demo model over at Playtech, but yeah, who cares, we get to make the video anyway. So yeah, looks wise it's pretty much identical to the Predator 15 I checked out a little while ago. So it still has this super aggressive styling. I mean, this thing looks like really serious. It's not minimalistic at all. There's this huge, as you can see, the Predator logo on the back which lights up. Yeah, this thing isn't trying to be subtle in the least. There's the red vents on the front, obviously the big vents at the back as well, and you know, it's just a super angular design, and it's not trying to be subtle. If you're a student or a business professional or something, and you take this into class or to work and you pull this thing out, people are going to be like, oh my goodness, what is that thing? So yeah, it's definitely not the most subtle laptop in the world in terms of styling, but yeah, I think it looks good nevertheless. Really aggressive, really stand out, and yeah, I do quite like the way this looks. So let's move over then to the I/O. So we'll start on the left hand side because there's nothing on the front and there's nothing on the back. So we see there's a DVD drive there, DVD RW drive, see a SD card slot, headphone jack, mic jack, two USB 3.0 slots, and where the power adapter goes in. Then we move over to the right hand side. We see at the back there is a Kensington lock, the Ethernet jack, full-size display port, that's quite cool, HDMI port, another two USB 3.0 slots, and up the front there, the Type-C port, that's actually a USB 3.1 Gen 2 with Thunderbolt 3 port. So that's going to be really cool. So they basically added one super exciting one there at the very front. Now let's go over the specs then. So this thing's pretty much identical to the Predator 15 I tested out a while back, aside from obviously the screen size difference and the GPU difference. So CPU wise, there's the Intel i7-6700HQ. Oh my goodness, I am so surprised it's running the same CPU that literally every gaming laptop runs, or has been running in the past, for quite some time now. Wow. But yeah, that i7 does a pretty good job, so I'm not bashing it, I just wish there was a bit of difference. Hopefully Ryzen will see something. Now memory wise, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 memory, that's a 2x8 gigabyte kit. GPU wise, as I said earlier, the GTX1070. Now this thing really hauls ass, and it's coming with 8 gigabytes of VRAM as well, so that's very nice also. Storage wise, you're coming with a 256 gigabyte SSD, that's for your OS, make everything nice and snappy, and a 2 terabyte HDD for all your mass storage needs. Communications wise, it's coming with killer wireless AC, that's really good, gigabit Ethernet, and Bluetooth 4.2. And weight wise, coming in with a weight of 4.1 kilograms. Whoa! You can hear that big noise when this beast starts up. Whoa boy. Does it make a noise? Yeah, so with a weight of 4.1 kilograms, this thing is pretty hefty. This is not a light laptop, that is for sure. If you're carrying this thing around all day, you're certainly going to notice that weight. Now let's move over to something more important then, and that's the screen, because if it's not good to look at, then you're probably not going to want to use the laptop much. So screen wise, it's a 1080p screen. You can also get this with a 4K screen if you really want, although I don't know if I would really recommend it on a laptop, especially if you're going to be trying to game at 4K. It probably wouldn't be too ideal, but you still can if you really want to. So yeah, 17.3-inch IPS, that's really nice to see, 1080p screen, and it has G-Sync. That's only for external monitors, so don't think that you can use the G-Sync on the laptop monitor. It doesn't work like that, which is a bit disappointing for a lot of people. So IPS, that means great color reproduction. I mean, this screen looks fantastic, very, very good looking, and great viewing angles as well. It's coming with a 75 Hz refresh rate, which is nice, but it's still a little slow in the response times. This is something I noted back in my Predator 15 review. Maybe enthusiasts will be the only ones that notice, but you can tell sometimes in games, that the response time is a little bit on the low side of things. Now, speaking of noises, let's go over to the sound then. And it's coming with 4 speakers, which are mounted like in the front, but facing down, but kind of not really, because there's vents there also. So it's a bit strange, but it doesn't get muffled, so that's good. Well, less muffled, I would say. It also comes with a subwoofer to give things a bit of a bigger punch. And as far as the audio quality goes, it's absolutely fantastic. This is probably one of the best laptops I've ever tested in terms of audio quality. Would it have been better if the speakers were top mounted? Sure. That's always what we'd like to see, but this one still does a pretty decent job, and those 4 little speakers do pump out quite a bit of volume. This thing gets seriously loud, so that's quite good. So yeah, audio wise, I don't have any problems with it. Music, it's nice. In gaming, it's just fine. So I think anybody, I mean, obviously it's not going to be as good as a great pair of headphones or desktop speakers, but for a laptop audio, it does a pretty decent job. Let's move over to the keyboard then. So this is Acer's own design, and I noted that back when I did the Predator 15 review. So yeah, it's got a pretty standard layout. The function keys, speakers and brightness are down on the arrow keys. I really like to see that. It's also got their Pro Zone buttons on the left-hand side, which is... I don't know how I feel about that. I still don't know how I feel about it. Maybe you guys would like it. I don't know. I'm not that keen. But as the keyboard itself goes, it's pretty good. I like the travel. It's pretty decent. These chiclet keys do an all right job for keyboard standards. But as far as all gaming laptops go, it's pretty good. They're really silent as well, and they're quite nice to type on. So if you're typing up big documents and that, you're going to be just fine on this. I don't notice any issues with it at all in terms of the keyboard. Let's move down now to the touchpad. So on the Predator 15, I wasn't a big fan of it, and it doesn't seem like much has changed here because the touchpad I'm still not a big fan of. It's okay, it just feels a little bit sticky. I wish that my finger would slide a little bit easier on the material. And saying that, it is still quite accurate, so I don't really have a big problem there. And also the right and left click are okay. They just got heaps of travel. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. But yeah, they just have too much. But overall, it's just average. Most of you guys will be using a mouse with this anyway, so it's not going to be a problem, especially for gaming. I mean, you're never going to be using the touchpad for gaming unless you're one of those crazy people out there that do. Let's move on to performance now and see how it does there. So first I want to test out the CPU, so I did that in the Intel XTU benchmark, and it scored 926 marks, which is the same as all the other ones I've tested, that same CPU they all seem to use. Then I wanted to test out the GPU, so we did the Heaven 4.0 benchmark. This is on the DirectX 11, everything maxed out, and it scored 82.5 FPS. But you compare it to the Predator 15, which had identical specs, but the 970M GPU, which scored 34.1. You see, that is a huge jump up there for the Predator 17 with that 1070 GPU. Now going over to Dirt Rally, this is once again everything maxed out, 1080p. Scored 86.7 FPS, which is very, very solid there. It's going to be absolutely great for gaming at above 60 frames per second. And finally, Shadow of Mordor. So we see it gets 121.9 FPS, which again is another huge jump up, more than double the Predator 15's benchmark of 54.1 FPS. So that difference there is just phenomenal. The 1070 is just such an enormous jump up from the 970M that it would almost warrant a person to change laptops, go from the older Predator 15 or Predator 17 to these new ones just to get that newer GPU, because it is that much of a jump up that the performance is so much better. Well, let's talk about heat and noise then, because performance isn't everything, although that performance is extremely solid. So the CPU in the Intel XTU benchmark went up to 74 degrees Celsius, which is just fine. There's no thermal throttling and there's no worries there. The GPU, on the other hand, that 1070 in the Unigine Valley benchmark on the Extreme HD preset went up to 64 degrees Celsius. So very good there. Both of these temperatures are really good for people that want to get into some overclocking on a laptop. You certainly will be able to do it on this. I don't know how beneficial it'll be, but you certainly can try. But those temperatures are absolutely fantastic. You're going to have no problems there in terms of temps or thermal throttling issues that we sometimes see on laptops. Now, as far as noise goes, when you're just doing casual things, browsing the web, all that stuff, it's fantastic. It's just dead silent. I mean, you guys can hear it now. I'm hearing it up, and it's just on the desktop. Dead silent. Absolutely silent. Can't hear a thing. The on-load noise, though, is a little less than ideal. I wouldn't say it's high, but it certainly isn't low. I would say it puts out about a medium amount of noise. It's not the end of the world. You can easily drown it out with headphones or something like that, and it's kind of what you expect from these high-end gaming laptops, something I'm more accustomed to. But yeah, it's still, I would say, about a medium amount. But as always, I'll let you guys judge for yourself. So this is what the Predator 17 sounds like during the Unigine Valley benchmark. So that gives you an idea of the noise, although obviously if you're gaming you'll have volume up or you might be wearing headphones so you can drown it out. Let's move over now to the battery life then. So one of the changes with this model compared to the old model is actually the power adapter. It's coming with a 230 watt power adapter compared to the older one's 180 watt, which is quite good. That's going to help obviously charge it up, which is really good, and also it stops the battery from discharging while it's on the charger, which is something that was happening with the older model, so that's good. Now, as far as battery life itself goes, these gaming laptops never have particularly good battery life, so if you're just doing casual things, browsing the web, and you've got it on medium settings, you're probably going to get 3 hours of battery life out of it. Maybe a bit more, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes more if you're running even more conservative settings. But for the most part, it's not going to do more than, say, 3.5 hours for the majority of users. Now, on load, obviously, that drops down even more. If you've got this thing on high settings and you're playing games on it, you're only going to get about an hour and a half out of it. So, battery life-wise, it's not really that good. As far as how it compares to other gaming laptops, that's about average, but how it compares to all laptops in general, that's not really too good, because plenty of laptops now, when you're doing casual stuff, will get 7, 8, 9 hours of battery life. So yeah, a little disappointing there, but kind of what I was expecting given that this is a gaming laptop. Now, software wise, it doesn't come with too much. I usually like that. Too much bloatware is really annoying. It's coming with Dolby Audio, which is actually quite good. I'd probably take it off dynamic, as that's not really ideal, as it automatically adjusts things and can often make it sound worse. It's coming with the Acer Care Center, which that's actually quite useful for updating things on it. Killer Network Manager, which will appeal to some people. And Predator Sense, which is actually quite interesting. So this is sort of like an auto overclocking feature. I tried it out on its turbo mode, and I noticed you gain about 1 or 2 FPS. I think it just turns up the clock speeds a little bit on the GPU. I didn't really notice any clock speed increases on the CPU. But yeah, it'll give you an extra 1 or 2 FPS, so if you're just someone who's not interested in doing any actual overclocking on it, you can just put it on that turbo setting and you'll get yourself an extra 1 or 2 FPS for whatever that's worth to you. Which brings us now to the conclusion, and what do I make of the Acer Predator 17? So it still looks absolutely fantastic, like all the other Predator laptops, although it's going to be way too much for some people out there looking for something a bit more subtle. The IPS screen has absolutely great color reproduction. This thing looks fantastic when you're gaming and watching videos, although the response time is a little bit on the low side still, so maybe they will improve that in the future. Audio-wise, it's absolutely fantastic for a laptop. Touchpad wise, it's only still average, and keyboard wise, it's pretty damn good. I don't really have any major complaints when it comes to the keyboard. The performance is superb. You should be getting over 60 FPS in the vast majority of games on an ultra or high setting. On a very, very, very high-end game, maybe you have to drop the filters off or something like that, but for the vast majority of games out there, you'll be able to run them on max settings. No worries with this laptop. Just make sure it's plugged in before you start gaming. Temps wise, it does just fine. Pretty low temps, honestly. Very good cooling coming out of it. Noise wise, it only does about average when it's on load, however. Decent battery life for a gaming laptop, but not very good battery life when it comes to all laptops. It's, you know, quite low down there. And would I recommend it? Yeah, for sure. This thing is obviously coming in with quite a high price tag, given like every gaming laptop does. But for those people out there that want a really powerful gaming laptop that's going to tick pretty much all the boxes, all the major ones anyway, and get you really good, solid 60 FPS plus gaming performance, then yeah, I would certainly look at this Predator 17, because that GTX 1070 is a huge jump up over the 970M and even the 980M. It's a huge jump up, so definitely consider this laptop. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already. And like this video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.